Two balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. This is way back. Walk the ball.
Welcome in, everybody. This is DodgerHeads presented by DodgerBlue.com. Happy Sunday. My name is Scott Geirman. I'm here with Blake Williams, managing editor, Dodger Blue. Happy sweep day. How we feeling, Blake?
Pretty good. Dodger sweeping was obviously the biggest news to come out today, and had to throw on the bucket hat for that. You know, getting back here, season colors for our little season show we're doing here. So good to see them sweep and kind of get back on track after that tough stretch heading into the All-Star break.
Yeah, absolutely. Big time boost from the offense. Big time boost when you get to see Paxton go out there and kind of keep the game in check and really ramped up the stuff today. We got a great show tonight. Welcome in, everybody. We're, tons of people coming in right after this. Everybody's excited. It was great to get, a series sweep. It was great to get a win today. Red Sox have been awesome on Sundays, but it was great to get a win today and have a ton of contributors all up and down the lineup. What's up, guys? What's up, Laura? What's up, Roy? All the regulars. Appreciate you being here. Blake, anything big time stand out to you today before we get into the rundown?
The home run party. I mean, it just seemed like every inning they were hitting a home run. It seemed like every player got in on it. Gavin Lux the last 2 days is, I think, 5 for 5 now with 4 extra base hits and I think 3 or 4 runs scored or something. So that's really good to see there. And just a lot of team wins there. Like the days where their pitching wasn't great, the offense really picked them up. They battled back with some clutch wins. And coming into the series, like into the All-Star break, the Red Sox were red hot, playing really well. The Dodgers were not playing well. So just kind of funny to see how quickly baseball can turn for teams, and why sometimes we need to remember, like, don't hit the panic button on the Dodgers because every team's going to go through hot and cold slumps.
Yeah, especially for us. This is a day that it's, a lot of things. And remember, we've been talking about some things. And if you tuned into the show on Friday night, post game on Friday after the Dodgers win, it's not as dire as some people think. A couple moves, nothing major has to happen. There's talent on the roster. But when the things click right and every guy knows their role, platoons work out and goes from there, you can see stuff like tonight. Obviously, you're not going to get big-time production every single night. But today, Dodgers have a half a dozen home runs. You get 6 home runs there. We'll start flat out straight in the top of the first. James Paxton comes in. He has a little bit of a bumpy first, 26 first pitch inning, allows a 2-run homer to Jarren Duran. Somebody that every Dodger fan got to hear the name probably for the first time. Very talented left-handed outfielder. Dodgers battle back right in the bottom of the first there and notch the score up. Star is a star. Role players are rolling. Blake, right away, you'd like to see the Dodgers battle back in the bottom of the first?
I mean, yeah, I think a lot of times we get a little swept up in what happens in the first inning. Like Paxton came out and struggled, and it was a lot of, this game's over, a lot of panic. Paxton's terrible. What are they doing? This team isn't going to go for the sweep, all that. And then they quickly come back, tie it up, and then they kind of just run away with the game. So it was good to see the Dodgers answer quickly. It's always nice when you can do that instead of waiting till the 7th or 8th or 9th inning like they've done sometimes this year. So it's good to see that. Good to see Paxton bounce back a bit after that first.
And what's been good, definitely what's been good, I agree with you. What's been good is Freddie Freeman. Jeff talked about this, I think on your Wednesday show this last week, somebody that it's a great pick to have a consistent breakout, somebody who you can count on. The bat-to-ball skills are, Hall of Fame worthy. Freddie Freeman gets a solo shot in the bottom of the first inning. Andy Pages doubles left field or the right field line. Gavin Lux comes in and gets an opposite field double, which was terrific. It's good to see him let the ball get deep. Today, he's doing a lot of stuff that we haven't seen him do much. He wasn't getting jammed in on the hands today. It was nice to see him, really take stuff the other way. Dodgers battle back, answer in the first. We go to the second inning, scoreless there. Bottom of the third, Dodgers come in. Dodgers put one up on the board. Teoscar Hernandez, opposite field shot, put the Dodgers up. Bottom of the fourth, Gavin Lux comes in. You can kind of get a theme here. Cutter Crawford was leaving a lot of stuff in a big spot of the zone. Big heart of the plate. And this is stuff that we've talked about from the top part of the Dodgers order, the ability to really hit these, beach ball pitches, not miss the mistakes, and leave pitchers and let them off the hook. Is this something you noticed too today, buddy?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Cutter Crawford has been really great this year. So
Yes.
seeing the Dodgers just take advantage of his mistakes there, which is something they haven't been doing all that well recently. It was really great to see that. I mean, this is how the Dodgers can hit when we know they're at their best. And I would say they're not even at their best right now with Muncy out and Mookie out still, but the lineup has all the potential in the world, even without them, to score and win every game. So when they are on their hot streaks and everything's going well, you're going to see a lot of games like this, and hopefully they can keep it rolling for a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Again, we're going to let everybody get, keep trickling in here. We're going to keep going with the game recap. Got over 600 already. We got super chats rolling again. Any questions? We'll just keep tossing those in. We'll backlog them, talk about them later on in the show. But in the bottom of the fifth, the unlikeliest hero, Austin Barnes, gets his first home run of the season. That leave you speechless? Chat, that leave you speechless too?
Unlikely. He's on a 9-game hitting streak now.
He's been terrific,
our captain out there. Like, come on, this is the Austin Barnes season. He's out there. People were complaining Will Smith wasn't in the lineup and how Dave is always punting on Sunday games, but Austin Barnes has been fantastic recently. So keep giving him those starts, keep Will Smith healthy for October in the playoffs, because that's all that really matters at this point. And I mean, Austin Barnes is a pretty good backup catcher for what he is.
Yeah, it's a lot. Not everybody's going to be, I know I've said this, I think we've had this conversation on here. Not every team is going to be as, lucky as the Braves to have 2 starting quality catchers, and somebody like Barnes, who the front office can trust with the pitching staff, trust to come in on that off day and command an off day for Will Smith, arguably the best catcher in the game. It's not a bad consolation prize, especially when he's putting balls out of the yard. But again, Ohtani steps up, has his the Dodgers' 5th homer of the game. 473 feet. It's the 3rd longest homer in Major League Baseball this season, and the longest homer at Dodger Stadium in 10 years.
Yeah, it's tough to keep saying how great Ohtani is. Like, we're running out of words to describe him, but every time he does something, it's something you just haven't seen before. Like, Kershaw was speechless when he was talking about it on the broadcast, and it amazed him. And that's just kind of what Ohtani does every game. He's just giving us reactions from things we haven't seen, and man, that was crushed. I think they Dodger Insider account went out there and got some pictures, talked to the fans, went through one of the signs at the top of the roof there. Crazy. And went out of the stadium after bouncing out there. Like, yeah, it was just crazy. If anyone hasn't seen it, we have a story up on our page with the video in it and some information about that. So go check it out after the show. And yeah, it was a pretty incredible home run.
Yeah, at that point, Dodgers are up 6-2. Game, it's not that the game was in hand. It just felt that with, everything clicking, Los Angeles Dodgers, you felt pretty good. Sox battle back, get 1 in the top of the 6th inning. And then in the bottom of the 8th, Gavin Lux gets on base, little, jam shot single off of Kenley. I believe he stole second base. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, steals second base. Kevin Biggio knocks him in. You're Kevin Biggio. It was good to see him, get himself on the board there. And at that point, the Dodgers, you look like it's clearly in hand. Did you have any doubts? I'm teeing up the inevitable thing we've got to talk about.
Have doubts about Biggio coming through?
Doubts about the game.
Oh, no. I mean, it wasn't great to see, but I was still pretty confident that they were going to pull out with the win there. They had a nice lead there.
Perfect. And then Jason Hayward comes up, runner on second base, Kevin Biggio, and Hayward barely scrapes one out over the right field wall. My surefire set platoon with Andy Pages comes in there, gets his 5th homer of the year. Dodgers are up 9-3. Top of the 9th, everybody. If you're tuning in, we're just doing a recap here. Yeah, we got the brooms, Laura. We're breaking them in. We're breaking them in. Here you go. Wait, where are they at? There we go. We got the brooms. Jarren Duran comes up, gets his 30th double of the season. Scores 2 runners, 9-5 at that point. Evan Phillips has had a tough go. Is it starting to get concerning for you, Blake, with Evan Phillips?
I think there is a little concern just because, anyone who's been on this show knows what I'm going to say about relievers. You can't trust any of them, even the best ones. They're all going to falter at some point and go through slumps. I think we've seen that a lot this year with relievers and just even relievers in the past. For so long, Kenley Jansen was the Dodgers closer. He was pretty much an automatic save, and then he went through some tough stretches there and kind of lost some love and trust from the fans there. I mean, Edwin Diaz came into the year as the consensus top closer, and he lost his closer role. There's very, very few closers who have consistently kept a hand on their closer role and have not had many struggles. So I still have some faith Evan Phillips is going to figure it out. I'm not sure what's going on there, but like you've mentioned a lot, he's struggling versus lefties more so than he has in the past. He's usually kind of dominated against them, and that's part of the reason why the Dodgers didn't prioritize getting lefty relievers in the offseason, because they felt all their righties could get lefties out as well. Yeah. But that hasn't been the case with Evan Phillips this year. What that issue is, they're trying to figure out. Dave Roberts talked about that. He said they're kind of digging into what's going on there and trying to find a fix there. So we'll see what happens. Maybe they target a reliever at the deadline just because of this, but I still have some faith Evan Phillips will figure it out. I mean, he's been too good in the past not to. So yeah, the Dodgers usually find ways to help their relievers and pitchers get back on track anyways.
And I really do agree with you. We'll touch on the bullpen a little bit later. We got some news, minor league signing there. But luckily enough, the Dodgers have, they've got Huddy. They've got Big 4-1, another veteran right-hander who that you have in the stable, someone who I've trusted for, a few years. I was extremely excited. He, opted to not retire and rejoin the Dodgers, and he's been every bit as advertised. He comes in, closes it down. Dodgers win. We get the sweep. What's nice about this is that I feel like this sweep for all of us, heading into the break, a little bit of down stuff. You get what I know that we talked about. I think Jeff talked about and Matt talked about on prior shows, that was the All-Star break a boost with Teoscar winning the home run derby, first Dodger in team history, with Ohtani hitting that nuke in the All-Star game, Will Smith having a knock. Do you feel like, this was just, and not do you feel like, what type of boost now do you think that what should fans feel at the moment, Blake?
I think they should be content. Like, the trade deadline's coming up at 9 days now, so that's going to be a lot of fun. It's always fun to see all the rumors and news that comes out and what the Dodgers end up doing. So I know there was a lot of panic before the All-Star break. I feel like the All-Star break kind of acted as more of a reset for them rather than like a boost or anything. I don't think they really needed that kind of thing. I think it was just about a few days off away from baseball for most of the team, having some success for Teoscar and Ohtani and Smith in the All-Star game, and then coming back, reset, and ready to move on with the rest of their season. I think that kind of helped them, because baseball is a grind. It's a very mental game, and sometimes you just do need that mental reset. So 4 days off helped everyone, and they've come out and played well since then.
I think everybody that's watched you and I, content's a good word for it. Absolutely. I think everybody who has watched Blake and I, we've been on the parts of the team that have faltered a bit. We've been talking about them just as needed. And I think it was a breath for the team, for us, for everybody to look at what the team actually has and get a clearer look at the deadline and what they truthfully need to target. Are their platoon guys, are they starting to find their roles? Are they going to get their slots? And now with Miguel Rojas injured, we'll get into that too. But I really want to talk about Gavin Lux just for a sec, because he's got a slash right now in his last 7 games, 21 at bats. He's 9 for his last 21, hitting 429, 455 on base. He just looks like he's locked in. What are you seeing from him?
More confidence at the plate, I think, is the main thing for him. Throughout the year, he's been kind of like Dave Roberts has described players like this is in between, when they're not sure about if they should swing at a pitch or take pitches, and just not really confident and comfortable up at the plate. But Gavin Lux looks like he's come back locked in so far, and the results have shown it. All the extra base hits he has, he hasn't recorded an out since the second half of the season started. So it's been great to see, because if the Dodgers can get him going, like, he doesn't need to be elite. He just needs to be league average, which is a pretty fair bar for him considering his last full season. He was a little bit above league average. So that just solves so many problems for the team if he can do that, because it helps the bottom of the lineup. He provides them with a bat who's going to put the ball in play and not strike out a ton when he's going right. So, if they can get him going, it's probably going to lock Mookie in at shortstop, which maybe a lot of people don't want to hear, but considering today's news, might be the likeliest outcome at this point. So we'll get into that a little later, but
absolutely.
Yeah.
We've got a couple. Yeah. I see a couple of people in chat saying it's too early to be, all in on Lux. But what I saw today is stuff that he hasn't really been doing so much. For the last few months, he's been an automatic rollover to second. He's been getting jammed inside. He's getting some tough calls. I've been vocal on here that he's been, getting the zone on Gavin Lux is one of the toughest I've seen around the league. Aside from, I forgot, it's a Cardinals outfielder. It's one of the toughest I've seen. He gets a lot of unfair calls. So if he's able to go the other way, work away, doesn't get busted in on the hands, it doesn't matter what he does. Like, as long as he's been better than he has been, he could be a plus player and avoid the trade talks and all that. But we've got a couple super chats to get to. I think my buddy, I texted my buddy Johnny that ball hit his windshield because he's a Red Sox fan. I don't think it's landed yet. I don't think it's landed yet at all. 473 feet. I was with the fans that I thought this ball cleared the overhang. That I was like, did I just actually see this live? Because when Stanton did that, I actually missed that swing years ago. And I was upset because it's one of those things, one of those moments you're like, man, damn, I wish I saw this live. What about you, bud?
Yeah, I think it would have been cool to see it in person. Seeing it live was also pretty cool. But yeah, Ohtani's a special player. Like, we always just talk about him. It seems like every time we're on here, we're saying like he did something incredible and wow, how did he do that? So yeah,
worth every penny.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and Phillips is really scuffling with location. There's a number of things. And 300, we appreciate the super chat a ton. It's going to lump into the conversation we have a little bit later on about the bullpen. But with Evan Phillips, Blake touched on it a bit. It's been the troubles, I think, versus lefties. And he's lucky that it wasn't worse. Yeah, exactly. Location hasn't been there. He's not getting a ton of arm side run, a lot of arm side command. He's spiking a lot of stuff. Stuff just doesn't have the bite that it normally does. His sweepers, hanging way too, far out in the middle of the dish. It's just been a difficult run for him. And as Blake has always said, relievers break, relievers find their stride. And for some reason, the Dodgers are exceptional at locking these guys back in. So I wouldn't be surprised if in 2 weeks, this is a conversation that's in the past. They found something, they found some mechanical flaw, some sequencing flaw that locks him right back in.
Yeah, for sure.
We got a couple more. Appreciate everybody here. We clipped the 1,000 mark. Again, exciting win, exciting sweep. This gets the Dodgers organization, it gets the fans, it gets us, everybody that had some concerns just about their fire going into the break. You get to come out. The Red Sox have been playing very good baseball this year. They're storming the party there in the American League East. There was a lot of talks. Are they buyers? Are they sellers? And going into the break, this is a team that in the Red Sox that they were on the fence. It was is their ownership going to buy in? Right now, the Dodgers kind of hit them with a stone wall on a sweep. Let's see here. All right, we got a couple more. Let's see. Thoughts on Honeywell's performance yesterday? Not overly familiar with him, but thought it was solid. Absolutely. Blake Smith, appreciate the $5 super chat. I totally agree. Blake, I'm going to let you take this one, but something that's been nice, and I've seen it on Twitter, and I want to give proper credit so I can find the post. He's got a screwball, and he ramps up that fastball, and it's that, the velocity differentials that can really give hitters trouble.
Yeah, so Honeywell, he's a former top prospect. He was a highly touted pitcher for the Rays, but he's had a lot of arm injuries and just injury problems in general throughout his career. I think he's had 4 arm surgeries. So the talent has always been there. It's just about him staying on the field. And with that lack of ability to stay on the field, he's kind of struggled to find his footing at the major league level, hasn't found much consistency or had like a real chance to break through. And when the Dodgers go and target a reliever, like a lot of people like to complain they're dumpster diving, but some of the best relievers they've had over the last few years have been from that dumpster diving. Like, I know we're talking about Evan Phillips' struggles right now, but they acquired him as a waiver claim in 2021, and he took over as their closer for 2.5 years now. I mean, Daniel Hudson was kind of a reclamation project, and they've helped him figure it out. Trinan was coming off his worst season when they went and got him. Anthony Banda, we're talking about, is one of their better relievers. He was a waiver wire pickup. Brandon Morrow came out of nowhere, became one of their best relievers. So they've just done this a lot. And anytime they go and pick up a reliever, you kind of have to keep an eye on it. I think they added Honeywell a little bit more because they just needed an arm to come in and help them. But the stuff is also intriguing. And if he could just stay on the field and stay healthy, like, I don't see why he couldn't be a quality arm for them moving forward.
Yeah, he's an arm that's bounced around, and it's someone who's going to give them quality innings. In his first outing, it was nice to see the Dodgers kind of be a little restrictive of his usage. He was on a roll, but I think that if he can give them quality stuff, quality innings, maybe it can be a problem for his arm that you're going up there throwing so many screwballs, but it's definitely something that the Dodgers could harp on. They should utilize. And if he hasn't, he's got fire in him. He stepped right into the organization and he's got fire. And it's really good stuff for him. So give us a sec, guys. We've got a couple people that I want to, thank you so much. Got to get them going. Got a couple more super chats here. Sorry about that. We just had to do a little housekeeping. All right. Laura, we appreciate you. Is the right forearm strain a concerning thing for Miguel Rojas? And I actually didn't see when he got pulled. It was fairly early in the game, right, Blake?
Yeah, I think it was the 4th or 5th inning off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
We could pull that up here real quick.
Yeah, but without a doubt,
ideal.
I mean, for not ideal, for what the Dodgers need, for who they need, and kind of an anchor that he's been there. Dominating the conversation that when Mookie comes back, him slotting at second base, it just gives them a consistent, Gold Glove caliber player at shortstop and veteran bat. It's difficult really for the Dodgers to navigate without him. You do have, what's nice is you have arms. You have players that have played shortstop in bulk outings, in bulk innings in the past. Kike's done it at a very solid level. Chris Taylor in a big time pinch. I don't know if they want to dip into this, but Gavin Lux could do it. But it's getting to a point where you might have to go outside of the organization, possibly, Blake?
Possibly, but as Matt just threw up in the comment section, Rojas was downplaying his forearm concern injury. So, hopefully it's not too major and everything works out fine. But I think we have to be a little skeptical because we always hear about the Dodgers with their not too bad kind of thing, and then it ends up being 3 or 4 months. I think the good thing is, it's not coming from Dave this time. It's coming from Rojas. So hopefully that's a good thing for them. But it puts them in kind of a tough spot because there's not many shortstops available. So I'm not sure what they'd do if they had to go that route. I'm not saying
they might slow him a bit as some gamesmanship towards the trade deadline. I'm not saying that's the thing, but it's possible. But without a doubt, let's see. He said he thinks started because of taking one-handed swings with a heavier bat in the cage. Possibly. Whatever it is, the Dodgers need him for sure. Until we see anything alarming, I'm going to go on the side of, Matty, man, I'm going to go along with that. There's not much to it. There really isn't much to it. So I'm going to be happy about it. I'm going to be happy with, no big news until something breaks that he's out for an extended time. But again, Dodgers win. They get the sweep of the Boston Red Sox. They're at a very comfortable lead now in the National League West. We appreciate the 1,100 being in here. Thank you so much. Make sure you hit the like button. Don't forget to do that, guys. Subscribe if you haven't. Ring the notification bell. Dodger Blue, we're on a streak right now. We're rocking live shows, I would say, a good majority of the week. We're ramping it up. 6 days. 6 days. So trade deadline coming up. Make sure you're tuned in. I'll be in Vegas the back end of this week for a few days. So hopefully the Dodgers get a little bit of that luck. They brush that on me. And they make some moves while I'm there. Because I'll lay the house down. I'll mortgage it all. Just if they make the big move, I'll mortgage it all.
Hopefully they don't make a move while you're unavailable to hop on a show with us here.
I will walk down the strip holding my phone, and I'll go on the stream with you. Yeah, Kenny. I'll be rolling the dice, man. It's going to be an exciting time. All right, let's see. Let's see. We've got to talk about Big Maple, though. I like what I see from him. I was happy that he ramped it up. He didn't let the game get away from him. He was big time. What he's been doing the entire season, basically 50-50 mix on a lot of his stuff there. Four seam, knuckle curve. He got 12 swing and misses today. We saw an uptick, like we said, 90 touches, 96 on the four seamer, 51 fastballs, 36 knuckle curves. I've said a few times that every team would beg or would kill to have a James Paxton in their rotation throughout Major League Baseball. I see somebody say he's legit. How are we seeing a legit arm with Blake Paxton or James Paxton? I'm not saying big time arm. I'm saying a contributor. I'm saying someone that is just an anchor, somebody they didn't have last year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's what they kind of signed him for, to go out there, give them innings. He wasn't ever supposed to come in and be the ace or anything. He was just supposed to come in and keep them in games every fifth or sixth day. And he's done that so far. mostly. He's had a few blow-up games here where things kind of got out of hand, but overall, he's been exactly what they've needed. I couldn't imagine where the team would have been without him over the last few weeks with all the injuries and issues they've had, and some of his issues did kind of correlate with that at the same time. I mean, I guess slumps can happen to pitchers too. When all the hitters go into a slump, sometimes that happens. Sometimes all the pitchers go into a slump. So Paxton was part of that. He was not immune, but he's just been solid all year. I mean, most of his issues this year came in that first inning there when he walked 3 guys and allowed the 2 runs, and then he was fantastic for 4 innings after that. They tried to push another inning out of him. He allowed another walk and a single, and then that allowed to another run scoring. But 7 strikeouts is really encouraging to see from him because he hasn't been striking out many guys this year. So 7 strikeouts in essentially 5 innings. I mean, that's what you want to see from him pretty much every time out, and hopefully he can keep it going. Maybe it was a little bit of a revenge game there after playing for the Red Sox last year. Got some friends on the team and wanted some bragging rights, so might have amped him up a little more. I think he hit 96 on the gun today, which he hasn't been doing this year. So, yeah, he's got to keep it rolling.
And I give a lot of credit to the pitching staff. They kept Rafael Devers in check for the majority of the series. I believe the whole series. Jaron Duran's another story. He's playing lights out. Yoshida, same type of thing. You know, a bat that can get it rolling. I think last night he had a swing that nearly got out. That would have changed the entire ball game. So I give a lot of credit. They strike out Rafael Devers 3 times today. It was great. I was excited about it. Again, bouncing back from Tyler O'Neill, having his a big time game yesterday, 3 punch today. Between O'Neill, Devers, 6 strikeouts. I give a lot of credit to the pitching staff, aside from Evan Phillips, who had a hiccup. I give a lot of credit to them because it was good to see Joe Kelly get back. It was good to see Ryan Yarbrough go out there, have 3 strikeout outing. Anthony Banda comes back, gives him a scoreless, and Daniel Hudson closes it down. You like what you're seeing there? We'll just roll right in. We got to roll in straight into somebody that they just picked up. Blake, are you liking what you're seeing from the bullpen?
I do. I think they've been overworked and can kind of use some rest there. I think the All-Star break helped them a bit there, like it did for the rest of the team. But the starting pitching hasn't been going deep into games, and the bullpen has had to pick it up. And overall, they've done a really great job of that. But they might need a little bit of reinforcements there just because of how much work they've been given.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It's been something we've noticed. It's a teeter-totter. When the starting rotation's going deep into games, when they're at their best, the bullpen feeds off of that. Everybody gets to find their roles. You don't get stretched out. You let the lefties get into their platoon spots, and you can watch Dave Roberts cook and mix and match without everybody freaking out when Yohan Ramirez has to come in the game because they do need the innings. But the Dodgers made a very minor signing, with Nick Anderson. They signed him to a minor league deal. Somebody that was recently released by the Royals. Do you have anything off the top, Blake, about Nick Anderson?
Yeah, Dodger fans should remember him from the 2020 World Series when he came in to pitch in Game 6 and ended up blowing the game for them after Snell was great. So maybe not the best memory that comes to mind for Nick Anderson for Dodger fans, but back then in 2020 and 2021, he was one of the best relievers in baseball. He was the guy that any team would have loved to have, the sub-3 ERA guy with a lot of strikeouts, not many walks. And then he went through some injury problems. He didn't pitch for, I think, 1.5 years or something. Came back with the Atlanta Braves and had some success, a solid season for them last year. It was like a 3 ERA with around the same FIP, so solid overall. But this year he has struggled a lot with the Royals. Walks have been up, strikeouts have been down. I think it was like a 4.5 ERA or something, and something pretty bad like that. And there's upside there, which is what the Dodgers are looking for. There's veteran presence, which the Dodgers love, especially in their bullpen.
Yes.
So it's worth a flyer on a minor league deal. Like, it's not something we should get too hyped about or too upset about. Like, it's just one of the moves they're making. They'll let him go pitch in AAA, see if he has anything left. And if he does, great, they'll call him up, and maybe he can be a potential impact addition to the bullpen, or even just someone who helps out. Maybe he could be a replacement for like Yohan Ramirez down the line or something like that. So it just gives them more options. It's a minor league deal at the end of the day. It's not something we should put like a ton of stock into, but anytime you get someone who's had success as one of the top relievers in baseball, I would say it's noteworthy and something we should probably keep an eye on down the line as well.
Absolutely. And he had a 4.04 ERA this year, but a 5.07 FIP. So definitely tough. It's something that the Dodgers can bring in. Hopefully they can tinker. 34-year-old. They need to find innings. They don't. He doesn't have to. He's not on the 40 man, so there would be a move that has to be made. But it's definitely good. Just like Blake said, it's good veteran presence. It's good depth to have in the minors, and he's there. Hopefully, can build some stock up, and then move him along if they want. If another team finds value in him, Dodgers have been very gracious with a lot of these veterans that they're not going to, keep them strapped down in AAA. If there's another opportunity somewhere else, they will allow them to go. They will make a deal for somewhere, cash, whichever. And it's something that the Dodgers, hey, if they find something they like, could be another Brent Honeywell. And let's see if Nick Anderson has something in the tank. To piggyback on that, Joe Kelly coming back today. He looked good. Changeup looked sharp. Brusdar, he's going to be on his way. We got some injury news. We'll get into that with there. But do you feel comfortable heading into the deadline with where the Dodgers bullpen is currently at?
Yes and no. I mean, it's hard to be.
Man, that's why I like you. I want to hear the yes and the no. That's exactly. You and I both do that well.
It's hard to be critical of the group. They've had so much success this year, but they've also had a lot of innings under them. They've thrown probably too many that they should have because of their starting rotation has not been great. There's the concerns with Evan Phillips we just talked about. As much as we want to say Trinan and Hudson are going to stay healthy and keep pitching well, we don't really know if they're going to stay healthy. I think it's probably more of a solid bet Hudson does because he's coming off leg injuries rather than an arm injury. But Trinan's still returning from major shoulder surgery that took him quite a while to get back from. So we don't fully know how he's going to hold up down the stretch. And you lose one or two of these guys, maybe even like Alex Vesia gets hurt or Banda or something, then you're kind of in a tough spot where now you're searching for who they need to get, what relievers. Like overall, the group is really great right now, but there's always just concern with the relievers. We see them struggle and have their off nights. And I will say Joe Kelly has pitched better than the stats have shown. A lot of his ERA was inflated by like 2 poor outings, but the rest have been really good. So hopefully he can come back and be a piece. They have Gratterall, Michael Grove, and Ryan Brazier. Starting rehab assignments are getting pretty close to them, which you just mentioned. So that's a few options there, but I wouldn't hate it if they went out and got someone with late inning experience who can help them out. I think you can always improve on the bullpen. It's never something you should be fully set with and happy with. So I trust them to have a solid bullpen heading into October, but it might take a move or two to get there. And if everything goes well, maybe it's a starter that gets put into one of those roles because they might end up having an excess if they make a trade and some guys come back. Maybe Crochet ends up in the bullpen due to his innings if they trade for him. So a little foreshadowing right there for our later topic. But yeah, I mean, there's good and bad with the bullpen, but I think you can probably say that about most bullpens. So it's just kind of where I'm at with them.
Yeah, it's the innings part for me. It goes back to the teeter-totter. They've got to find a consistent level with their starting pitching innings. They've got to find a way for these guys to go deep because you're not going to be able to just patchwork this again. With the Dodgers, we're at a point where it was, okay, they've got enough arms that they can 6-man this and feel comfortable with it. Now they're having to patchwork this in. You've got Landon Knack as a rotation guy, Justin Robleski. They're getting innings from them, and it doesn't look as bad, or like it's not as bad as it might sometimes be, because you're asking a lot for these young arms to come up and be consistent contributors, but we're getting to see some, highlights from them. Robleski, I like what I've seen from him. At Landon Knack at times, he seems a bit generic. He's had some stuff where, some stretches where you're like, he could be a contributor and a solid arm, but don't expect something so spectacular. But you've got to find a good balance point, and that's where you're going to see the Dodgers really, push ahead and maybe try to find some innings through big-time trades at the deadline. But right now, the Dodgers bullpen still ranks within the top 5 in collective ERA in the National League. So that's something that I'm encouraged about. Keep rolling through the second half, find a good, healthy point, get some arms back, and then we'll have a completely different conversation, post-trade deadline. But we're going to go right back with the injury news. The Dodgers have a few arms that are expected to pitch in OKC and Round Rock tonight. Rehab assignments: Brusdar Graterol, Michael Grove. What are you expecting from them, Blake?
Just getting back on track and kind of building up their innings. I'm not too concerned about how either of their appearances go for the next few times out there. it's been a while for Brewstar since he's pitched. He was shut down in spring training. Grove is thrown more recently, of course, but I don't think you want to focus too much on results early. It's just about going out there, making sure they're healthy and staying healthy and making sure they can make their next appearance. So if they can get Gratterall back, it would be huge for the bullpen. He was one of their best relievers last year. And Grove has shown flashes of being solid this year. And then he started pitching through his lat injury and kind of saw some downtrend there because of it. But I mean, I think these could be two additions to the bullpen that would help them a ton if they can get back and join the group.
Yeah, Brewstar, it's easy to forget, what he did last year. He had a 1.20 ERA, 0.97 whip, and a 3.03 FIP in 61 1/3. Even for me, on someone who, a contact guy, you can really just say, okay, he doesn't have the strikeout numbers. At times he can let stuff get away from him. You look back and you see how dominant he was. He was one of the best relievers in baseball last year, and it wasn't particularly close. And for someone without that high clip to get back into the Dodgers bullpen, it's just about consistency. It's just about they're dealing with, multiple arms. And we see, I see people talking about it, that it's a veteran bullpen that has some cast off guys, some reclamation projects. Evan Phillips was a DFA guy a few years ago, and they turned him into one of the best closers, best relievers in all of baseball. Blake Trinan, older arm. Daniel Hudson, older arm. Joe Kelly, same thing. They do need to find some youth. Ryan Brazier himself's making some progress there. But they really do need Brewstar Gratterall to come back, and hopefully he's in a good place physically, mentally. He can get right into it. We have no doubt that he's going to bring the energy, and it's something that the fans feed off, players feed off, and I hope that he finds that because then, I don't know who they would get rid of, like in that bullpen. Brent Honeywell, if Yohan Ramirez, it's his time. And it might be, but it's good to hear some positive news on that for a team that's just dealt with way too many injuries that a lot of the time you cannot get over. It's just tough to find productive arms in Major League Baseball. When you look around around the league and you see, the fourth, fifth guy coming in pumping 97, it's tough when you don't have that with the Dodgers just because there's so many injuries. We got a couple super chats to get to here. Let's see, 300. We'd love to see if they obtain Tanner Scott. I remember talking about Tanner Scott at the beginning of the year when the Dodgers really didn't have that other lefty. It was like Alex Vesia was still, getting out of that spring training funk. He was really trying to work through it. And people were asking about, who can they get a lefty? They had just getting rid of Caleb Ferguson and Victor Gonzalez. And was like, why in the world would you do this? You don't have anybody behind him. Tanner Scott's a guy that has the track record. And he wasn't doing it originally, but now he's found that form. Falls in line with Blake's thing of pitchers break, pitchers find it. What about Tanner Scott?
I would love for them to get Tanner Scott. He's probably one of the most underrated relievers in baseball. He's got filthy stuff. He's just an elite arm out there. Another lefty in the bullpen would be great. He could come in and help be a closer, mixed in with Phillips there, and especially with Phillips' struggles versus lefties, adding a lefty who can come out and close games would be a fantastic addition. Whether the Dodgers are going to actually go and get a reliever like that, I have some questions about. They have other needs that they need to address, in their rotation and their outfield and maybe even a backup infielder. So I don't think reliever is going to be something they necessarily target, but I would love for them to go get Tanner Scott. I think he would benefit them a ton.
Yeah, Tanner Scott's been terrific this year. But the tough part about getting a reliever who has a 1.27 ERA and 42 2/3, a whip at 101, it's going to be a cost that I don't see the Dodgers meeting. I don't see Andrew Friedman dipping into that. If he does, it'll be a pure surprise, a welcome surprise. I won't be upset about it. But we've seen how I'm not even going to bring it up. I'm not going to bring up guys in the past because everybody spams like the bad returns and the bad send-offs in the past. But we've seen Andrew Friedman shy away from that. He'll go more towards like the pitchers who have broken and how to unlock something again to make them a productive piece. But I like the left-handed options the Dodgers currently have. I know we're going to have a conversation coming up if Evan Phillips doesn't find out like what's going on and the Dodgers can't figure it out prior in the lab. They can't really work through whatever is going on. There is going to be a conversation of who takes over that ninth inning, if that's a move that they have to make. But again, we saw the other night that Daniel Hudson was the hot arm. That might have just been who was ever ready to go. If Daniel Hudson was ready to go, he can absolutely close out a ninth inning. And it doesn't necessarily mean that Evan Phillips isn't built to be the closer anymore. It might just be who's available, because for several years, Evan Phillips was the fireman. He was the fireman role guy, but it's nice. And we're fortunate that the Dodgers have several arms in like Daniel Hudson, Blake Trinan, Brusdar when he comes back, if he can get up to speed quick enough. And Vesia, we're forgetting about him, how good he's been. That they have enough arms that I feel confident in the ninth inning. You kind of on that same thing?
Yes. I mean, like I said, you can always benefit from adding more, but I think the group they have is really talented, and most clubs would love to have that. I mean, you have essentially 4 or 5 guys you can trust in the ninth inning on any given night, so that helps things out, and you probably even add another one when Brusdar comes back. So,
yeah,
like, it's a really good group overall. It's just they need to get those innings down, so fix the starting rotation. I think that's what happened to them a lot last year. The bullpen was really struggling while the starters were struggling. Then they went out and made some additions to the rotation and kind of got healthy again, brought some starters back in, and the bullpen really took off after that when they weren't being relied on as much. So I think you're going to kind of see the same thing with this group this year as well.
Are you personally, don't take off your analyst CSUN Dodgers hat. I just want to know if you personally feel comfortable with the lefty options that they have, and that like it's enough. Like if they were to stand pat and avoid reliever altogether, are you okay with them avoiding it altogether?
Yes, as long as they also add at least a quality starting pitcher.
I know we all want to talk trade deadline stuff. We have to. There's no way we can. Yeah, like absolutely. We don't talk about this enough. Ryan Brazier was such an anchor. I'm not going to say that he earned himself a contract, and it's a questionable one with just how he just hasn't been here dealing with the injury. He definitely is a reclamation project guy that the Dodgers, lucked into, and he was a big time arm for them. He was supposed to be the same exact thing. Yeah, Mike, I got you, Jack Flaherty. We'll talk in a bit. But without him there, it's just another piece that they have to fill. It's just very lucky that the Dodgers can have a guy like Ryan Brazier on a contract. They expected him to be productive, and we haven't even seen him. Do you expect anything from Ryan Brazier this year?
No. I mean, maybe he'll come back and be like a middle reliever for them, but not expecting what he was last year. I think we had some concerns about them signing him at the time to the deal they did and just bringing him back. I think it was both of us who wanted some more youth in the bullpen rather than going with all the older veterans, which to their credit, it's worked out pretty well so far, but they've also needed to rely on waiver guys and claims, and like Yohan Ramirez is here. We've seen Michael Peterson up a lot. Brent Honeywell claimed off waivers. Like there's been a lot of rotating parts to make the bullpen work, and I would feel a little more comfortable if there was some younger relievers in there who maybe didn't need as much rest and could kind of snap back quicker. But I mean, it's hard to be too critical of them with how good the group has been this year.
I was really upset. I'm really upset, and I know there's going to be some news that Kyle Hurt might not be back. I think he's dealing with something. I was really bummed to hear that Kyle Hurt might not be back for the rest of the season because he's someone that was a lot of Brusdar type. They were stretching him out. He could have been a starting pitcher, but it's someone that I personally really enjoyed watching pitch. I thought he could be a major contributor to the bullpen, and someone that was a bowling ball type of fastball guy, big time sinker. Yeah, Mr. Classic, I love him too. Somebody that an injury took him away from contributing this season. I hope he makes his way back. I don't know what's going on. I don't think the news is kind of broken yet. I just saw some chatter online about an injury that probably keeps him out for the rest of the regular season, and hopefully he comes back pretty soon. But we're going to shift gears unless anybody in chat has anything they want to talk about injuries wise. Toss that in. But Blake, anything real quick before we move on to some of the big possible trade target news?
There is another super chat.
Pop it up.
Which
Luis,
I don't know.
Yeah, thank you. This can take us to the hour mark. A shout out to the 1400 that's in here. Essentially, we appreciate you guys a ton. Make sure you slam the like button, ring the notification bell, tune in. We've got 6 days a week, leading up to the trade deadline and going through the rest of the regular season, postseason. We'll see you there. Blake and I, Jeff, Matt, we've got Anthony, Daniel Starkan. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We work really hard to bring you the absolute, the best coverage that we possibly can. Doing our best up here. Blake and I have gone through some revelations this year about the team. But Luis, how is this team worse than last year's? I see BC, poor roster construction. It can be money, like allocation of funds. And a game like today will make you say, maybe it's not all bad. And tuning in on Friday made me go, maybe it's not all bad, because only some subtle things have to be made. But I really think that it just came from neglecting surefire options on the bench and going from there, because pitcher injuries, you cannot forecast that. You can't really. How are you going to crystal ball all the injuries that they've had? You just can't.
Yeah, I would agree with that mostly. The pitching side has been probably the most unfortunate part, because they came into the year with 7, 8, 9, 10 starters who could all be major league quality options. And now they're at 4 for the last 2 or 3 weeks. So that's definitely put a toll on them. It's been tough. I know they dealt with a lot of injury issues last year, but they didn't have that same talent level and quality of injured players that the Dodgers have dealt with this year. So I think that's kind of been the biggest thing. Then also, of course, losing Mookie and Max Muncy really hurt this team a lot. It's been huge. And why that's been so big is because, like you said, the bench has not been good. They've been relying on Chris Taylor, Kik Hernandez, Kevin Biggio, and others who have not performed well at all to fill those roles. And they just haven't had the quality of depth that they've had in previous years to step in and fill in for those injured players. So I think that's what's hurt them a lot. I think on paper, this team is far, far better than what they had last year. I've said it a lot. I think they kind of punted last year to focus on this year, but they didn't put together a good role platoon and like depth players. So they're kind of seeing the results of that. And essentially, once you get to the postseason, if everyone's healthy, that's not going to matter a whole lot. So we might see this team win maybe 92 games this year instead of 100 like they've done in years past. But they'd probably be in a better spot for the playoffs because they have more talented players in the positions that do matter once the playoffs roll around.
And if you look at the stable of arms that they currently have on the injured list, I'm not going to count Tyler Glass now. I think that was just a breather, but we'll just include him for the sake of it. I always forget to bring up Shohei Ohtani just because it's not listed there, but Ohtani, Glass now, Walker Buehler, Tony Gonsolin, Clayton Kershaw, Dustin May, Emmett Sheehan, and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. That amount of name power, on the injured list for extended periods of time up and down is something that you can't forecast. And remedying that is tough when you don't go out and you spend money and you don't have just a wealth of arms coming up. But this is the same type of thing this year. It's been a godsend that they have Gavin Stone at what he is. Roblesi's come up, giving them innings. Landon Knack. I think we noticed early on that Landon Knack couldn't handle major league bats. Like, he looked comfortable right away. It's not always going to be perfect, but just like we spoke about earlier, he's going to get the job done and be enough and keep the game in check. But it's just difficult when you're worrying about how many arms or who's coming back. But again, it's a refreshing thing that the front office has been very, early on, rumors wise, aggressive at trying to go out and remedying that front end of the rotation. But we'll keep that going. I just want to get this in real quick. Where is he? Shout out to Chris, man. Shout out to one of the most talented Major League Baseball photographers I know, CSUN alumni, Blake's good friend. Sorry you have Cutter Crawford on your fantasy team, man.
I mean, shouldn't start him versus the Dodgers.
If you haven't had a chance to check out Chris's work, find him. I'm sure if he can plug his stuff in here in a chat, he's been kind enough with some of the photos that he's done. I believe like he's helped out us a bit, I think.
We shared some of his stuff on our accounts. So from the All-Star game, he was out
Beautiful.
there.
Beautiful. Yeah, go ahead, Blake. Plug him up.
I'll throw it in the chat for anyone who wants to.
Yeah, do that. So, Chris is awesome. If you want to check out some of his stuff, follow him on socials. He's a terrific photographer. Fantastic coverage at the All-Star game. So appreciate you tuning in, man. John Bleed Blue. Thanks for the super chat, man. You're always active in here. Shout out to the 1400 in here. Appreciate you guys a ton. Sweep of the Sox. Any news about River Ryan? Blake, we have some good news about River Ryan, right?
Yeah, he's supposed to start tomorrow on Monday. So make his major league debut in a tough task against the Giants, but he's one of their top prospects. It should be fun to see him go out there and compete. I mean, they're going to have to make a 40-man move, so we'll see what that related move is going to be. Probably Nick Ramirez getting DFA'd, if I had to guess, just because of the options and how all that works out. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting. Timing of it kind of makes me question with the trade deadline coming up, because they do have Glasnow and Kershaw coming back. So do they really need to go to River Ryan, or is it like, hey, Chicago, check this out. We've got this nice pitcher right here for you. Let's see him make his major league debut and then throw him in a package there. So we'll see. We'll see. It's exciting though, either way.
It's a good point. Look at this, guys. Blake hitting the speculation about the gamesmanship. Are the Dodgers showcasing River Ryan? Again, he was brought over to the Dodgers in the deal that sent Matt Beatty to the San Diego Padres, correct?
Yeah.
So that's just a fun thing. If River Ryan comes up, contributor with the Dodgers, he has the possibility to be an arm that has some life. So it's going to be good to see it. Always when there's a young arm that comes up, that's exciting stuff. I always enjoy it. I know all Dodger fans enjoy it. We hope it goes well. We hope he has a great debut. John, thanks for the super chat. I saw a question in here that I want to see. Yeah, there we go. Diego, why is it the Dodgers the offense can always show up for everyone, but Tyler Glasnow?
I would say, like, at the beginning of the year, they were scoring tons of runs for Glasnow every single game.
And then they went on that bad stretch, right?
Yeah, it kind of fell off for him there. So I think it's just a lot of randomness. Like, Glasnow gave a quote early in the season, like, Ohtani promised me he was going to hit homers for me, and he's doing exactly that, just because they were scoring so many runs, and Ohtani was going on one of his hot streaks there. So it's just the ups and downs of a season. Like, I think sometimes we just overlook like what teams do with their ace on the mound, because like that's the game everyone tunes into and is extra focused on. And a lot of times the ace will keep it like the other team to 1 or 2 runs. So if the offense struggles in that game in particular, you're more focused on the offense not showing up, as opposed to maybe like their 5th guy allowing 6 runs. And then you're not as focused on the offense scoring 1 or 2 runs or even getting shut out. So I think a lot of it's just kind of like the mental side of us saying, like, noticing things and getting some confirmation bias there, but they've been good and bad for Glasnow overall this year.
And it's crazy how good the offense has been for James Paxton. I know they noted it on the broadcast, ESPN broadcast, that the Dodgers score a little over 6 runs a game for him. It's good to be Big Maple when you're on the mound.
Yeah, maybe they get a little more hyped up when Paxton's on the mound, knowing it's going to be a back and forth game. I don't know. There's so much mental side that goes into baseball that
randomness.
Yeah.
It's the randomness we always talk about that you just never know. And fans should have already, if you're not accustomed to it or immune to it now or weathered by it, the luck that goes into a Major League Baseball 162 plus, you might not be paying that much close attention, or you're just, live and die by everything. And baseball is so random. You never know. Back of the baseball card is a real thing, but then you have those anomaly instances that make you go crazy. We're going to get this one super chat in, and then I want to let everybody know, if you haven't tuned in, you haven't seen it on social media, about some of the latest rumors. But Richard Flores, thanks so much, man. Appreciate the $5 super chat. Best part about the sweep is it was against Alex Cora managed team. Vassay praises him. We'll go there, but I'll never understand that. We'll never forgive Cora for 2017. I agree. It felt good. This is a good thing. It's always good to sweep a team. I personally am over 2017. I know a lot of people are going to have some mixed feelings about it just because it's not so far removed, but we're some years past it. We got to see 2020 for whatever that means to a lot of people, whatever the World Series and that, postseason run meant to a ton. It came out of part of my life that I needed something like that. But I feel like I'm over it. I don't sit there and talk about, the cheating Astros. I don't forget it, but I definitely don't sit there and hang my hat on, them being just, the big cheaters, and look at Alex Cora, and the first thing I think of is cheaters. But yeah, it's always great to shove it down his throat. Absolutely.
I think I'm a little opposite of you. I don't think I'm ever really going to forgive that team for 2017. It's always in the back of my mind whenever I see them. Like,
I
was at 2017 game 2, and the Dodgers ended up losing that one. And I think if that didn't happen, we'd be talking about the Dodgers as a potential dynasty with their next World Series win, instead of like, oh, they only won their fake ring and now they haven't won a real one. Like, we'd be talking about the Dodgers a lot differently if that if the Astros didn't cheat that season. So yeah, I'm not a huge Alex Cora fan because of that. I know a lot of people like him a lot and think he's a great manager. I do think he's a good manager, but I'm just not on the boat of wanting to praise him or give him any props for his success. So yeah, I mean, I'm always going to make an Astros joke about 2017 when I can.
That's your right to do that, man. Absolutely. Yeah, that's the difference. Richard, thanks for tuning in, man. We appreciate all your support every single time. You're constantly in here again. Appreciate all the regulars. Appreciate all the new people. Shout out to the 1450. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's a great Sunday night. This is a great time to celebrate a sweep. It's great to get a plus after the All-Star break. This feels like, two separate victories in one. You get to sweep a Red Sox team that's been playing solid ball. You get an All-Star break that, just because National League didn't win, I wanted them to win that ball game for Ohtani to get the MVP and go from there. But it was great to see Teoscar win that home run derby. My X factor of the team. It's just been good stuff. So I'm very pleased with the team today. Very pleased with the team. But we're going to roll into some stuff. Everybody wants to talk about it. This is something that Blake and I love to do. We love to talk about the chatter. It's the ways that they can improve the team. Hopefully not just on the margins. They need to make some impact stuff, in my opinion. And everything that points to it, the Dodgers have been very active on the rumor mill with going after or checking in on Garrett Crochet, Tarek Skubal. I'm going to go with it, Blake. Luis Robert. I've been saying Robert, but Blake implored me to say just go with Luis Robert to keep some continuity. I'm going to roll with that. But Garrett Crochet is expected to be the top arm available. I would say so. I say that just because I don't know how available Skubal will be. He's there. The White Sox are going to manage his workload coming off of Tommy John, made the transition to the rotation, and he's been incredible. He's got a 3.02 ERA, 2.36 FIP. He's doing it himself. 0.95 whip across 20 starts. He's a legit guy. That's somebody you're all in on, kind of, Blake?
Yeah, I think he's my top target for the team right now. There is a report that came out today. I think it was from Bob Nightingale, who's been pretty locked in.
Yeah.
I think there's a few that came out today even. There's one yesterday, I think, actually, from Rosenthal. There's been a lot. It's hard to keep track of them all, but basically the Dodgers have him as their top target, regardless of if he's a starter or a reliever, which kind of interesting to think about. We know in 2020, they used that one of their best starters and put him in a reliever role there. So I think Crochet could kind of fill that as well. And if they do end up getting all their starters back healthy, like Yamamoto, Glasnow are your top two guys, and maybe Bobby Miller comes back, and that gives you three deep starters there.
Yeah.
Like maybe Crochet is best served out of the bullpen. If that doesn't happen, it also gives you the option to say, hey, you're going to have to start, keep him in the rotation, and you have another ace there. So I like the versatility that Crochet has. He would be under team control for 2 years, I believe it is. So
2027.
Yeah. So, I mean, it would be a great pickup for the Dodgers. He's been one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. It's just about finding the right cost for him, because teams are kind of valuing him as, well, he's going to be a reliever for the rest of the year. But the White Sox are saying, no, he's the number one starter. He's an ace. Look at everything he's done. But he's over the innings limit. His career high in innings, he's passed that by about 40 or so already. So
yeah, he's basically doubled. He's basically doubled his career high, so he has 107.1 right now. In 2021, he had 54 and a third. So he's almost double.
So there's concerns there with that. He had surgery in the past and all that. So yeah, I mean, he's a great arm, a lot to like there. It's just about if the Dodgers are going to match up on the White Sox asking price.
Yeah, a lot of the similar concerns, stuff that, people are going to see that stuff. They're going to hear it, and they're going to draw similarities between him and Tyler Glasnow. High velocity arms, big effort guys. And you're going to say, how much are they going to get pushed? Is the arm going to hold together? Crochet, this is him going into, the starter role. And that's where the questions and that's where the concern might pop up. I'm looking at it purely from the impact standpoint. And the report that Nightingale had today that came out was the Dodgers are exploring a package aside from the early on offer they made for Crochet, which was initially rejected. Rumors came out. Bob Nightingale put it out that the Dodgers are interested in a deal for Crochet and Luis Robert Jr. Does that move the needle for you, essentially getting those two together? Is that kind of steer you that direction? Or, we haven't previewed Skubal, but going that route, if they're able to package both of those and pony up that haul of prospects and major league players, is that something that you'd be a little bit more interested in?
I think Skubal is the best player of the bunch, and Nightingale also reported that they've checked in on him, and I think it was Rosenthal or Alden Gonzalez who said Skubal is their top target. So there's some chatter there. My main concern is I don't think the Tigers actually move him. And if they do end up moving him, I'm not sure the Dodgers have the pieces necessary to get him, especially when, like, say, the Orioles could go and offer better ranked prospects who are more intriguing than anyone the Dodgers have. So I have questions about Skubal, and those same questions about Crochet and Robert package. But if they could get that done, I think I would go after Crochet and Robert just because they need a center fielder. It's probably their biggest need on the roster, in my opinion, outside of starting pitchers at this point. So I would love that deal if they got it. It would be an A+ trade deadline, regardless of what else they do. It's just the cost is going to be a lot. If you think you're offering enough, it's probably going to take another 2 or 3 players to actually get it done. And you're talking about a lot of quality going back to Chicago and not just quantity. It's going to be quality and quantity. So it's going to be a tough. You're not going to like the package they're parting with if they make that deal. But I do think it would be one that's worth it. We've talked a lot about how the Dodgers are in their prime window to win for the next maybe 3 to 5 years. And both those guys fit the timeline. They're both under contract. They're team controlled. You'd have them for the next few years. Like, this is probably the time where we can even say a little stupid with their prospects and trade from an uncomfortable position there of giving up maybe too many good players, but to go bring in 2 impact guys.
Toss in, Tim, thanks for the super chat, man. We appreciate you. You're always tuning in as well. Thank you so much. Keep on that same train of thought. Do your best, Blake, to either anger people or for people to say, who cares? Like, the price, like the need for right now, the window right now, the championship slot that they're in, that we've detailed in the past, that we feel it's, 3 years, 5 years, I would say 3 years is that perfect range where we can say they're going to get their big guys playing at that high quality level. What package would be, just toss me whatever, do your best to do that. Either you can make people feel comfortable about letting them go, or you can, piss a lot of people off by saying that's ridiculous. And then the prospect people are going to come in here and say it's way, way too much, which is okay to be, because it's about making an optimal move. And restraint is good. And Friedman has said in the past, a lot of his best moves have come with restraint, that you don't make that move. And if it's not there, Mike, chill out. They're not going to trade those guys. Everything's on the table. And I think the early aggressiveness, the chatter, I think it's very real. The Dodgers understand that they're in a spot, the league, we've talked about it. It's such a down year for Major League Baseball as a whole, with in terms of teams that are just blowing the opposition away. The Dodgers got a taste of what the Phillies have in their stable of arms, and their depth of lineup there when the Dodgers got swept out of Philadelphia. So for me, it looks like a year where the Dodgers, they're playing like this and they're getting healthy. If they're going to make moves, I think it's got to be impact just because of the starters. And if they don't, double up Lou Bob and Crochet, that's fine if they get one or the other. And I see some people saying, Luis Robert is the more optimal target, which may be because of their need for an outfielder, a controllable outfielder, but also because of, and especially a center fielder, but also their need for starting pitching. So now that I bought you some time, buddy, who are you ready to let go of?
It might be shorter to say who I'm not ready to let go of if their prospect rankings.
Go ahead.
And I'm not even sure that's anyone. I think every prospect would have to be available in that discussion, and I'm not sure there's any I'd fully make untouchable in that. I think you're starting a package with Dalton Rushing, Josue DePaula, River Ryan, and building from that, maybe throw in a Joendry Vargas, Jackson Ferris type, Nick Frasso, Kyle Hurt maybe gets involved in that deal, although I think he's a little older compared to some of the prospects, so White Sox might not be as open to him, especially with the potential injury he has. And you're just going to keep building on that, throw in some other guys like Peyton Martin type, Maddox Bruns, maybe Robleski, someone the White Sox end up liking. Zaire Hope has made some progress in the minor leagues, so you basically say pick 5 or 6 of those guys and go from there, then maybe add a filler or two in. But it's going to be a big package for both those players. They're both elite players with team control, so you're going to have to get a little uncomfortable to make that deal, and you're going to send a lot back. So whether that's the right move for the Dodgers or not, can debate that. I would probably argue they should go out and do something like that. It is probably the right move at this time, but yeah, it's going to be a lot. And maybe
just like you said, it's going to be something that people are going to look at and they're going to say that's stupid. But then we might look back in a few years and say, it's another Andrew Friedman fleece job. No, none of those guys turned out. Like Manny Machado trade, you don't hear about anything that came of that, from players they gave away. A lot of stuff works out. Mookie Betts trade. Connor Wong is, I believe, the best piece that went back to the Boston Red Sox. Trade came at a time when, COVID was going on. Or the extension, sorry. That came at a time where, the Dodgers didn't give up much. They gave away prospects that they built up themselves. So this is not, for me, I agree with Blake, and it's going to feel a little stupid, but they've shown the ability to take prospects from other teams that have little to no value and bring them to a point where now they're sought after. And I don't know if the league's kind of caught on to that. They maybe they have, and that's why a lot of deals haven't happened. But Andrew Friedman's made the big deal in the past. He's gotten Rich Hill. He's packaged two players up. He's gotten Rich Hill, Josh Reddick. He's gone out, Trey Turner, Max Scherzer. Like, he's went out and made the big move. Manny Machado. Like, it's happened. So I'm not going to count him out. I'm not going to count him out. Like, it's the package deal. And if people want to fix where it's not going to get so crazy where you're saying you're calling up 3 different teams to do stuff, it's a spot and it's a player and it's an arm that they need currently. His workload remains to be seen what they'll do. But if Crochet's the top arm, he's the guy they need. I don't see any reason why they can't go get him, why they wouldn't go get him. And it'll feel a little stupid. But the Dodgers have shown the ability to bring in guys, especially pitchers. And it's kind of an area for us that we've harped on a bit, but they can bring in pitchers and bring them to a point and get them in their system where they're valued throughout Major League Baseball as prospects, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're in a position where they can move guys. The team is kind of set for the next few years, like mostly for their starters. Muncy's under contract, Mookie's under contract, Freeman, Smith, Ohtani. The main issue there is their outfield, which adding Robert would help solve that a lot. Maybe they re-sign Teoscar and keep him around. You've got Pages in one of the spots there, although maybe Pages is one of the guys going back to Chicago, or James Outman, even potentially. Like, I would say mostly the core is locked in, so you can be a little crazy and move some of these prospects to go get guys that will help you for now and the long term. I know they have a lot of starters coming back next year, so maybe Crochet isn't as much of a long-term need, but I mean, you can never have too much pitching, as we've seen this year, and maybe that makes someone like Gavin Stone a potential trade option, or Bobby Miller to go get another elite piece for their outfield or something. Like, it just gives you more options down the line as well, so it's not a bad thing to have too many starters there. So I think it makes all the sense in the world for the Dodgers to get a little more aggressive than they've normally been this trade deadline.
And I'm trying to cater to people that are, anti-big trade or, anti-big prospect, haul going away from the Dodgers to acquire this stuff. And I think this is a really good point. Flying Sky, appreciate you, tuning in. Thanks for this. Big trade is risky, but so is not doing anything in the trade deadline. Guys coming back aren't a guarantee. Take the risk, go for the trade. And I'm gonna pull that down because it's massive. But thanks for the question. It's a really good point, Blake. Where are you on kind of that sense?
I think I'm kind of in the middle of it. Like, I agree with the sentiment there that it's risky to make a big trade and risky not to. I think they're going to have guys coming back from injury. That's going to help. That's a guarantee. And a lot of the guys that they're expecting also might not come back. Like, I think it's a safe bet to say Mookie's going to come back, but we don't know if Yamamoto is going to come back. So they do have to go supplement the roster. It's something Dave Roberts has talked about already. And Roberts said it kind of as like if we're going to like go get a trade, or if we're going to bring guys up and not do both of them. But I think that was just a little more of like GM type front office manager speak there. And they're going to end up doing both. They're going to bring guys up to help them, and they're going to go make trades to help them. So maybe they just go with all the internal options, and that's what helps them out the most. I would say that might even be the most likely thing if we're betting on Mookie and Muncy and potentially Yamamoto and Glass now coming back, like they're probably not going to make any trades bigger than that happening. So maybe there is a little more risk to making a trade just because of that. But at the same time, if you can supplement all that with a trade, it makes a lot of sense.
And, I don't know if we touched on what Max Muncy, his stuff there, what he's been up to lately. We talked about it a bit on Friday and a bit on Thursday. Real quick, Blake, before we, move on, from this, what's going on with Max lately, just so we can kind of pick everybody up, the almost a 16 under here in here. Appreciate everybody. What have we heard from Max Muncy lately? And then we'll go right back to kind of the focus of what we think they need to go towards.
Yeah, so Max Muncy started doing some soft toss swinging, which is the most swinging he's done in quite a while.
Yes.
Yeah, which he was shut down from swinging previously, and that's been the main source of his concern. So it's a huge step in the right direction there. Dave Roberts said it's progress, but they still don't have a timeline for him. I think if they can get him back by September, like, we'd all be happy with that. You can live without him until then. You just need to get him back and ready for the playoffs. That's the only concern there. So I have no problems with them being cautious with him and taking their time and making sure everything's back on track and normal before bringing him back out, because they don't really need to go rush him, but it still is a little bit of a concern, and there's no real timeline for him.
Yeah. So staying on that same thing, Andy Pa has his defense in center field. Do you think that's a long-term concern for the front office and for Dave Roberts?
Like long-term going into next year, or long-term
into
into
the rest of this season? Like looking at the trade deadline, going the rest of this season. There's a series. I'm gonna roll off of this question or this answer from you.
I think it's a concern, but one they'd also be willing to deal with if they don't like the price on any center fielder. Okay. I think they'd like to go upgrade and address that, but it's not going to be like the panic, we absolutely have to do something type move.
Yeah. And that brings me to the next point of, if they don't go out and make the big deal, if Friedman doesn't see the value in a massive haul, which by all accounts, like the price is going to be high, and Andrew Friedman making an early offer for Garrett Crochet, and this is going to cater to all the people that are very anti big trade. And Mike, sit tight, bro. I got you. I'm ready to talk about JJ Bleday. I'm ready to talk about Randy. I'm ready to talk Jack Flaherty. If Andy Paez, they're going to stick with him in center field, and they're going to keep running him out here. And he's looked good against righties in the last 2 games. And I was happy because he dives a ton over the middle over the middle of the plate. And that's why inside he can get busted on the hands a ton and not able to extend. But if he starts to pull back on that, it's something that if they just stick him in center field, cool, let him roll with it. It says volumes about them sending James Outman down, not keeping him up, especially because, Jason Hayward's back. I'm very happy about it. That's that's somebody I'd love them to platoon with Andy Paez if they go out and get a center fielder. But it opens up the options for now a corner outfielder, because Miguel Vargas, by all accounts, it just doesn't feel like he's got a big spot. His defense is not working out in left field. His run at the plate, he doesn't have the same everyday run that Andy Paez is going to get or has gotten. Michael Busch, same type of thing. He never got it. Do you kind of feel that Miguel Vargas, I'm not going to say his time is up, but he's at a spot where they're not going to give him that same everyday run?
It's getting tougher. He had the opportunity and didn't really take advantage of it or run away with it, which was unfortunate there. I think he still might be an option to play some third base down the line, but
sure,
maybe his best role is like a utility type player who isn't going to play well defensively in any position, but you can move him around if you need to. And maybe he's just the trade piece for the team at this point. Like, it depends kind of what their long-term plans are in the outfield. If they plan on keeping Teoscar and getting Robert, and you'll have to add another piece next year. Like, maybe they do say, let's move on from Vargas. It's probably the best thing for now. I think other teams would still like to bring him in because he does have offensive upside. But for the Dodgers, you do have to kind of question where he's going to play and if he's ever going to fit in for the team there. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think I think somebody, I see people saying it. I think he's got some solid value. I think he's shown enough. His, year 1 to year 2, he's shown, he's got health right now. He's shown some maturity. And he's got, he's an enthusiastic guy. And I think some teams would like that. It's unfortunate because you and I were big time on him. Yeah. Yep. again, I think I could speak for everybody in here. I've been tweeting this out kind of annoyingly, like for the last however long months, that I think that if the Dodgers don't, I won't say if they don't. I don't want to put that out there. I don't know if there's another team that like another player the Dodgers should just try to hammer out an extension with than Teoscar. He wants to be in LA. Fans favorite, love him. He slots right in. Am I wrong for just harping on that so much?
No, I don't think so. We've seen them make a lot of in-season contract extensions recently. They did it with Hudson and Trinan. They've signed Muncy to an extension recently. They've signed Will Smith to an extension. Like, they'll go out and make deals with their players if they want to keep them around. And Teoscar said he wants to be in LA for the long term. He said he doesn't want to go back through the free agency process. He's a good fit for the team.
Too. I don't know if anybody heard, but I don't know if anybody saw those. Like, it was over over the All-Star break. Like, he was super vocal about it. He said he doesn't want to go, just like you said, he doesn't want to go through the process. He wants to, he said he's tired of moving around. That's that for a player like that who had such a down season with the Mariners, playing in Seattle. He said it was tough. He loves being here. Great fit. Awesome vibes. He is those clubhouse guys. He is a productive clubhouse player. Somebody who it's not just a vibes guy. He's a production man.
Yeah, I would bet Teoscar comes back next year at like 75% confidence in that. I think them extending him the qualifying offer will help that process a bit, because it might make other teams shy away from going and discussing a deal with him. Teams don't want to trade draft picks for like long-term deals, so they probably won't want to do that. That would benefit the Dodgers, and maybe Teoscar even just takes the one-year deal and kind of pushes the contract talks down the line. So I think it makes a lot of sense to keep him around.
Yeah, guys, I agree with you all in chat. Yeah, he feels like a Dodger. It feels like he's been here longer than just this season. It really does. It's hard. It doesn't happen very often that a player like that is immediately loved, and he fits right in. I think a lot of it comes because the lineup drop off, and it's just like, we talked a ton about how productive he has been throughout his career, and a consistent guy like that, and his home and road splits, and everybody that looked into that immediately, we were like, he can hit outside of Seattle, and he went immediately away, and he's done it. Doesn't hurt that you're an all-star, win the home run derby for the first time in team history. Yeah, production helps big time. All right, I think it's time for questions. I really do. Unless there's anything, Blake, that you really want to get off your chest. Anything?
Well, we've got Kershaw coming back. I don't think we mentioned that.
We did.
Not sure if they discussed it in the last show.
This is going to make a lot of people happy. What do you thinking from Kershaw? What are you seeing? What did he do in his recent outing?
His recent outing wasn't amazing, but he said he felt good after it, and the Dodgers are confident in coming back. He isn't built up fully enough, so he's not going to go deep into games, which may be a little concerning for the Dodgers, but they need pitching help right now, and it's good to see Kershaw getting back, and hopefully he can be solid for them. They don't need him to come in and be an ace or lead the pitching staff like they have in most seasons. They just need him to come in and eat quality innings and get ready. Maybe he can be an option for the postseason. If he's not an option for the postseason, I wouldn't be fully surprised. I'm not sure what we're going to see from Kershaw fully, but
yeah,
just a sub-4 ERA, and I'll be happy.
I'm with you on that one. I think that's a good place for him. If he's usually, somebody says if he's sub-3, usual sub-3 guy, then that's a terrific thing. And then we're getting into the conversation of is his stuff playing up to an elite level where if there's a 7-game series, is he that fourth guy? Or if we're in a spot where Yamamoto is in a place to start a playoff game, is he that fourth starter in a set there, 5-game set? Who knows? It's going to get interesting. But what Kershaw said, he's been very, Kershaw-esque in his responses here. Him coming back, he's going to make his season debut on Thursday against the Giants. Him saying, he said, quote, "I think it's ultimately just where the team is at. It's about him not having his stamina back and limitations." He says, "I'm not built up 100 pitches." And he said he'd love to come back wherever they need me, whenever they need me. Obviously, I don't want to put the team in a bad spot. So him having the understanding that, he's at where he's at in his career. He's not going to force his way just as a legacy thing. He's going to make sure he's ready to go. And I appreciate that. I think all fans can appreciate it. The organization appreciates it. And his teammates do. He's with the team. So I'm excited for it just as a fan, as a spectator of Major League Baseball. I'm glad that, he came out of this. He's come out of it without any, we'll see in the days after how the health is. But all accounts, we're going to see Clayton Kershaw making his season debut on Thursday. Let's see here. All right. I know you've got him teed up. Fire him away. Let's see. Oof. What position players and pitchers, starters, bullpen are on the trade deadline or release list for you guys? Like anybody off the top of your head? We can just start with who?
Release
it's gonna get
list.
tough now. It's gonna get tough now.
Release. I'm saying Yoan, Kike, Biggio. That's probably the main three there. Outman probably trade list guy. Gavin Lux trade list guy. I think any of the young starters outside of Stone are probably trade list potentially, and all the prospects on the trade list that I've mentioned earlier. Yeah, I mean, they've got options. They can upgrade the roster.
Yes. Certainly, and it's going to come down to, again, those aren't Blake's like definitive. It's just guys who he wouldn't be surprised, I'm sure. Like he wouldn't be surprised let go. He wouldn't be surprised traded. And it's players who are at a level where, yeah, we know Lux was awesome tonight. He's playing up, through expectations. OPS over 600 now. He's been a difference maker the past few games. Big reason of why they swept the Boston Red Sox this weekend. So he has to keep that up. We'll see if the Dodgers truly buy into it, if he's a part of their long-term plans. But we know he's been playing well. And if he's going to, prove the haters wrong, prove the doubters wrong, more power to him. But it's about, does he have a spot long-term? But that's a pretty good list. They're definitely, if you look up and down what they've done and kind of been watching the team, you can see who's a fringe guy right now. Is there a contending team you hope becomes a seller? Is there anybody off the top for you?
Off the top of my head, not necessarily.
Somebody throw me one. Mike, throw me one.
I think the Rays.
Yeah, Mike, throw me one. Give me yours real quick because I want to see if it's mine. He said Mets. Yeah, Mets, man. Like Severino would be interesting. Would you have any thought of getting Severino?
I don't think so.
No, nothing. Cardinals, yeah. Cardinals might be something. They have a couple outfielders that are.
Do they have any pitchers though? I'm not sure they have any guys that make sense for the team there.
The Cardinals?
The Rays are, yeah.
No. I wanted Sonny Gray, but that's not happening. He's on a 3-year contract. That's somebody I wanted in the offseason.
The Rangers, that's a good one.
Rangers, yes. I think, Rangers, Eovaldi, that's somebody that's
my guy right there.
Oh my God.
Go get a Corey Seager deal done.
Texas for Eovaldi. Yeah, I would love Nathan Eovaldi. That's someone who's a postseason dog. That's an arm. What are they up to lately? What have the Rangers been doing? I haven't really kept tabs on them. That's something that I just been busy, man. Yeah, 5 games back. Yeah. They're selling. They're selling until they're not. Everybody's in it this year. That's why it sucks. That's why this expanded wild card era is just ridiculous, man. Yeah, Eovaldi, Mr. Clack, I'm all in. Yeah, Rangers are in a tough thing. Lost 2 of 3 to those. Cool.
It's kind of what happens when they went all in on injured pitchers this offseason, and they've all been on the IL all year.
It's that World Series letdown, man.
All right, so there's a lot of questions about Evan Phillips, which we discussed briefly. There's some asking about putting him on the IL and what's been the problem with him, and is Hudson the closer moving forward? So
I like Hudson a lot. I like his splits right now. I like his demeanor. I like his approach. It's all about health. It's all about not overworking some of these guys. As far as, is he the closer? I think they're just going to go with just who's the best guy for the spot. And I think that's the route to go. I think that's a way to, maximize your options in the bullpen, especially with the arms that they have. Even when the Dodgers were saying, we're just going to go with the best matchup, a lot of people don't like it because they just want a definitive guy. And sometimes during the Kenley Jansen era, it was like the biggest spot is here and he's not in the game. I think, Kenny, I think it's closer by committee at Rico. So thanks for the question, man. Appreciate you being here. Are you kind of on that same thing, Blake? Are you at any moment, any thought in your mind to pop Evan Phillips out of that closer role for a bit and just go by committee?
I think they're going to let him try and work through it and figure things out. But if he doesn't get it figured out, then they'll probably make a change maybe in September or maybe not even until the playoffs. We saw they did that with Kenley Jansen a lot. Like in 2020, they gave him the opportunity to work through their struggles. He didn't get it done. And then they didn't use him as the closer in the playoff run. So I think they might go closer by committee. I think there's a possibility of that. And they're certainly going to play matchups on some nights. You're going to see Phillips get chances. You're going to see Hudson get chances. You're going to see Vesia get chances. But that's what's also been happening all year, even when Phillips was locked into their role. So I think we're just going to kind of see it go the same path forward, and then we'll readdress it once the playoffs actually come around, or if it gets really bad sooner than that. But
now that Joe Kelly's back, let's assume that he's a solid arm. Any thought that the Dodgers won't keep, or might let Evan Phillips get a breather? Or what did Dave said? Let him get a blow. I thought that was hilarious. Just let him get a breather and just let him try to figure it out. Or do you think they're going to let him take care of it at the major league level?
Wouldn't shock me if they put him on the injured list for a bit to try and figure things out. I don't think he's going to be optioned or anything. I don't think he even has options left. So it's not even a possibility there. Mm-hmm. So I think they either have to let him work through it or just IL him for the 2 weeks it is and try and let him figure it out like that. I tend to believe they're going to let him figure it out at the major league level, but we'll see what's actually going on with him.
Mm-hmm. I just like what Daniel Hudson's bringing. I think if that's the way they go, I agree with you. I don't see them just plucking him from that. I think they'll let him work it out. It's an anomaly this year for him against lefties. But if it comes to a spot where they want to, just win a ball game and they put Daniel Hudson out there against a string of lefties and they just refuse to let Evan Phillips, implode right there or have it, rear its ugly head against a tough run of lefties, I wouldn't be surprised there. And I wouldn't be opposed to it either. It's not that I want to win every ball game. It's that put guys in positions to, like best opportunities, best way to be successful. And the Dodgers do that really well. I would rather them work behind the scenes or, and somebody said it, low leverage spot and go from there. There's a lot of good questions, man. We're going to be on here forever. You guys are good tonight.
So someone related to that one, if I can find it again. There. Your guy.
My guy, DC, thanks for the question, man. After the series, can we please end all talk about Kenley being back? Kenley said, that interview with like Mookie, an interview prior about him saying he wants to end his career with the Dodgers. Do you guys say realistically, put in the chat if you think that him playing the Dodgers, because Kenley's been good this year. I meddled with it in my mind, like, a reunion there and joked that, yeah, bring Jumpman 74 back to the Dodgers and go from there. And I know it's like a haunting for a lot of people for what has happened. And I'll be honest, if you want to know one thing, chill out, guys. Like, if you want to hear one thing from Kenley that like sticks with me is that I don't know if I've ever felt gut punched from a baseball game more than I did in the walk-off against the Rays in 2020. Like when my guy Randy smacked home plate on that play, I think I went outside and just stared at the moon for like an hour straight. Yeah. And thanks, Kenley. That's the lasting memory I have with him. But he's been good this year. I just think that he had the worst time to have a hiccup against the team that he said he hope he retires with.
He was working undercover. Future Dodger helping his team win.
2 games in a row, though. That's tough. And like I see people brought it up. Thanks for bringing that up because I didn't think about it. Cora said he pitched back-to-back games because he's not traveling with the team to Colorado. So that makes a lot of sense. It's just, I was like, if he comes in and shoves, then he's going to, that's just what it is. But it was funny that both of those, tough outings for him happened back-to-back days against the Dodgers. And right after sitting down with Mookie and then shortly after him saying that he wanted to retire a Dodger. It's so funny, man.
So these two were kind of related, both from Michael.
What is the fascination with Crochet? If he's only going to be, it would be a relief pitcher. Then you're essentially trading for Mason Miller. Like, is that? I don't know how confirmed that is. Like, I really don't. And if that's the way, then there should be a ton of hesitation there. If they find a way to make him like this would be a ridiculous thing to give up that much for a guy that's only going to go like 4 innings. Like, how much you getting from him? Like, what's his ceiling of innings? I'm sure they're tossing that around and like projections and going from there, and probably a lot of the same stuff. It's not even the same instance of like Tyler Glasnow because he's had, work as a starter, but Could it be a tiny bit that they're just like trying to project how much Crochet can give? Like, are the innings a big, are they at the top of your concerns for Garrett Crochet, bringing him in?
I think that's the only major concern there, but I'm not sure, like, there's no strict rule that says if a guy had Tommy John and now they're converting to a starter, they can only throw 150 innings or something. I think that's just kind of a number we've put in our minds as like subjective instead of objective. So I'm not sure it matters a whole lot. And maybe they say like, hey, you're going to be a reliever for the rest of the regular season, and then for the last 2 or 3 games that you start in September, you're going to start in September, and then we'll move you back into the rotation for October. I think that would be a way to help manage those innings. So it's kind of just all guesswork and trying to figure out what's going on there. So he's too talented to like pass up just because of innings or anything like that. So I'd still go after him.
I'm going to be with you on that one. I think that the cost for Skubal, I don't know how much I think I think the Orioles can get bump both of them. I think that the Dodgers are better equipped. I don't know if they want to get into that, if they want to get into the Crochet, because it might be, I don't know about a 1-horse race, but if the Dodgers want to pony up that much, it could be where, the Orioles don't want to get into a spot where you're dealing with a front end guy with Burns leaving after the season, unless they resign. But I don't think they're going to get into the market of a pitcher that, has concerns about innings and go from there. I just don't know if the Dodgers can pony up a package to beat out like the Orioles or somebody if they want to go get Skubal. So that's the concern for me. But if Skubal's available and the Dodgers do that, I wouldn't be upset. That'd be crazy, because he's been, by all counts, one of the best pitcher in baseball. He's unbelievable. So if you're asking me, either one, Mike, thanks for the questions, man. Appreciate you being here. It's like Skubal, Crochet, and then we're getting into some other guys like, Jack Flaherty, Eric Fetty, in a couple different arms there, because there's definitely some interest. Kikuchi's very interesting, left-handed. He's had a run as of late. Man, I wish they signed Sonny Gray. That's somebody I really did want. Not a crazy contract. He's been ultra consistent throughout his career. But again, yeah, it's like Flaherty, Kikuchi, and then Eric Fetty. Go from there.
Yeah, I think I'd be around that list too. Skubal would be my top option if he's available. Don't necessarily think he's going to be, or the Dodgers would be willing to meet the price. So I'll go Crochet 1, Flaherty 2, Fetty 3, Eovaldi 3, Fetty 4, and someone 5 that I don't know of yet that we'll figure out at some point.
Yeah, no, hopefully it's not somebody random. That's just there could be an innings guy, but I think they have enough, like Bobby Miller. I will, like, you're looking like on the same side you said the other day, or with me, myself I believe on Thursday. It might have been, was it Wednesday when you guys had the big show that you said you see Bobby Miller pitching in a playoff game. And I align with you. Like, if the Dodgers can work that stuff out and go from there and find a way for him to hone in that, that touch, that feel, for the strike zone, I think they have enough to guide them through the regular season. It's going to just, can the offense carry them there? Can the offense, work with them and get them that run support that they can pitch in a way that they're playing in a plus spot? So not everybody has to be perfect and deplete the pitching staff any more than it is. But final list, like Skubal, Crochet, if they pony up for either of those guys, and then like Flaherty, Eric Fetty, go from there. Kikuchi, players we haven't even talked about yet. I'm sure we will later this week. Let's see here. Oh my God. Somebody said something funny. No. Don't. I see. Yeah. Real quick. Kenley Jansen's having a good year and the Dodgers bring him back. Would you be willing to eat a block of cheese? They're not bringing him back. It's not happening. But would I be willing? No. Cheese stinks. Cheese sucks. Don't talk to me.
The worst takes.
Yes. I understand. Shout out to the 1700, man. We appreciate you guys being here. Now we're getting into the question spot where Blake and I love to cook. This is it. Speculation on trade deadline. It's going to be an interesting thing. With Ohtani joining the rotation next year, who will be willing to move more, Miller or Stone? This is a very interesting question. Because Gavin Stone fall off in year one, had a quick turnaround because they started to unlock all this stuff towards the back end of the year. And I think that's something that I was excited about heading into spring training. I didn't think it would be that fast that we'd see the results. And Bobby Miller's dip is happening now. But again, it's always tough to shy away from such a big arm with a ton of life. Where do you stand on this?
I would think they would be more willing to move Gavin Stone as a potentially sell high type piece rather than selling low on Bobby Miller. I think it kind of reminds me of like the stuff with Tony Gonsolin when he was having a really great year, and there's some talk about should the Dodgers trade him and sell high. They didn't end up doing that, and he got injured, so I don't think it's fair to make an assumption based on they were correct or wrong because of that. But Stone is a guy who his upside is limited because he doesn't get a ton of strikeouts, and not sure how consistent he's going to be from year to year when he's relying on his defense to help him out mostly, and things have to go right for him. He has to miss barrels of bats, and those pitchers tend to be more inconsistent. I think with Bobby Miller, he hasn't been good this year, and Stone has been great, but the stuff is off the charts. And when you look at Bobby Miller, it's easy to say, like, this is a top of the rotation guy that you're going to have for the next 5 or 6 years, leading your group, maybe developing into one of baseball's best pitchers. So I feel like the Dodgers would be hesitant to sell low on him in that spot. I think they trust their organization enough to figure out what's going on with him and get him back on track. So if I had to pick one, I'm probably moving Stone, and I think the Dodgers would likely agree with that because he is more of a mid-rotation guy instead of potential top-of-the-rotation guy.
Can I ask you this, though, just so we can ease, maybe some people hearing about this stuff or, thought of where the Dodgers bullpen or where the Dodgers rotation is at and how thin it is at the moment until, reinforcements, come in. Is that even something that they would entertain right now at the deadline?
I don't think so, unless they're getting like 2 starting pitchers back in the deal. We're talking about them needing starters. You can't give up a starter to get a starter because that just puts you back in the same spot you were in already.
Yeah, and it's not the same scenario where it was like the Gonsolin thing where he was an all-star, and if a lot of people didn't believe in what he was doing, I was somebody that I wasn't so high on Tony Gonsolin. A lot had to be perfect for it. It's something that year it felt like they were in a better position to do something like that. They just didn't. He gets hurt. We're at a spot where it's like that. You're going to have to see what you get out of him. But if we're talking the offseason and they have a better plan going into it, it's a place that I would be, much more comfortable, moving off of Gavin Stone now. That would just hurt a ton. So I agree with you in that sense that I don't think they're in a position there. And I think a lot of people would agree with it. Let's see here. Is Lux a Dodger after the deadline? Gut reaction. Quick gut reaction. Yes or no?
No.
Okay.
And what's yours? Then we'll move on to the other one.
Nope.
No, come on. Yes or no? Give an answer.
Matt. So I'm going to say this. Matt told me, and I know a lot of people, I want you guys all to do this. Matt told me no. He said he wasn't going to be a Dodger by the deadline. And then this dude goes on here and says he starts 5 playoff games. I was shocked. I almost crashed the car having that playing over my speakers. That was crazy. So I got to find him. I might give him a call, wake him up at 3 a.m. and ask him, Matt, this kept me up. I was in 101 cold sweats. I got to know. Just when he's starting to hit, we'll see if he maintains. That's the tough part because there's not a lot of room towards the deadline. And if another team sees enough and he's desirable and they have enough upside, and they need left-handed bats. That might be the reason he stays. If he's able to find some platoon stuff, it's all about finding the platoon things because he's not going to play every day. You don't think Gavin Lux is going to open to a spot where he plays every day, right? Or do you?
Probably not, but it wouldn't totally shock me. Like when I say no, I'm at 51% he's gone and 49% he stays. Like it's a coin flip at this point. If they find a deal for an infielder, they probably move Lux. It makes sense too. I don't think he's in their long-term plans. And if Mookie comes back and plays second base, then Lux probably isn't in their short-term plans either. But if there's a world where they say okay, Mookie, you're sticking at shortstop, then I think Gavin Lux does end up staying. So it's kind of hard to say. It's going to depend on what they do at the deadline and how they feel about Lux, really. So it's a coin toss there.
Yeah. Mike, he's not lying. Matt's not lying. That was his bold take. Just an FYI, that was his bold take for the rest of the season. So he was given the most bold take possible. And I respect that. Anybody willing to say something that crazy is you'll get my respect there. All right, we've got a couple more. I want to get this one here. My bad.
Quick.
Go ahead.
Just because it's related, the Kik is still on the team. You
Oh.
got to answer this one first.
I got to do this one. Yes. I think he is. I do. I really do. I think he. Am I alone, guys? You got to. I think he is. He gave some crazy at bats, and we've been so pessimistic about them, and that we have every right to, and that's why we're here. I don't want anybody saying, look what they've done, blah blah blah. Everybody looking at what we've been seeing, but the at bats that he was giving, that was stuff that's like. We the same things we've talked about. It's just they're the ones who haven't been doing it for most of the year. He gave some at-bats work in deep counts, and it was like, I think Weissert came up, and it was sweeper wasn't landing, and even I was watching the game going fastball outside. He's got to go back to the fastball, and that thing was just laced. Center field, tie ball game. That was it for me. I thought, for whatever you think Kike's done, like those were two at bats where you saw something like as locked in as could be. And just like Matt likes to joke, October Kike's coming in, Kiktober. I saw a lot. Do you think he's with the team?
At the moment, I think yes. But if they go and have a crazy trade deadline, I'd say no. And there is a comment here I want to throw up. Kike has a better track record than Lux. That is not true. If you want to go back like 5 years, sure, but like in the last 3 or 4 years, Lux has been far better than Kike. So
who are you trusting in October, Blake?
Neither.
No. Somebody asked that question so I can put it on the screen. Somebody ask him, so I put it on the screen. Who do you trust more?
I don't trust either of them.
Nope, you got to pick one or the other.
Lux, I guess, just because he's probably going to get more playing time.
Success.
I mean, it's still neither, but if you're making me pick, like, Lux probably just because I see a role for him playing if both of them are still on the roster.
All right. We'll see. That's a move on the margins. We'll have to see. Yep.
Matt said Lux is starting 5 playoff games, so if he's doing that, something's going well.
Is Max Muncy back? I think that I'd have to say a lot. Is the Rojas injury a big deal? Is Mookie Betts playing shortstop? A lot of things that have to get answered, but I think it'll figure itself out. You kind of flamed me for it last night when I was trying to tell you, like, yeah, the infield will figure itself out, and I really do think it will. But that's predicated on, will they go get a starting center fielder? I think they do. Like, yeah, people saying it won't happen. I'm just going to go gut feeling. Dodgers going to do something that I like.
Okay, we have a super chat.
John, thanks, buddy. We appreciate you, man. $2 super chat. Will Kershaw get enough starts to get 56 Ks? What's he at right now? He's like, I want to just look at pure. He's 56. He's got 50. He needs 56. That's a grip. That's a grip towards the rest of the season. I don't know. I don't think so.
I'll say yes.
He's going to have to cruise. No hiccups. He can't have a hiccup at all.
If he strikes out 5 a game, that's essentially 11 starts. So do we think he's making 11 starts from now or from Thursday until the end of the season? I'll say maybe no. Maybe he makes like 9 starts. They might be cautious with him. Maybe 8.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't make me do more math on the stream here.
No more math. I don't think he'll get enough, though. 10 a game easily. That'd be crazy. He gets 10 a game easily.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
I'll have Jeff calling me around the clock, telling me that he's a game 1 or game 2 starter. Shout out to the 1700 in here. We appreciate you guys. Sunday night shows. Blake and I love to sit on here a long time and cook. Let's see.
Answer. Here. Wear that one up for you since we're a big Outman fan.
Are the Dodgers done with Outman? I think it says a lot about them sending him down because he didn't fix anything. His strikeout rate didn't go anywhere. And I know, again, like very small sample in this thing back, but it's the same problem that he had before they sent him down to AAA. Hayward coming up, like they need the left-handed bat. And obviously, like, again, like Biggio is an infielder, Lux is an infielder, but them sending Outman down says a ton about it. It might just be a numbers game and he simply has options, but I don't think that he has shown enough. He made a great play and I'm not going to take that away from him, but he's a defensive guy. He's a defensive replacement. I can't count on his bat. And for a team like this right now that needs the offense with those rotational pieces, those platoon pieces, he's not a guy that I can set aside a roster spot for. He's not that good of a glove to be Kevin Kiermaier and just slot out there because he needs to work a lot of things out and he's an older player. People saying he has, value to a rebuilding team. He might be included in a trade piece. I don't know how much he has to work out. I don't see the consistency in the bat. Until we do, he's not a part of the Dodgers plans. If we see him, then something clicked. But I don't think that there's been enough offensively to make me believe that they're going to set aside a spot defensively just for him. And I don't think he has any platoon splits for me to be like, yeah, he's a plus guy. He's just an older prospect. It's tough. That one's tough. And I think you agree with me. Quad A player, he might be.
I don't see him coming back.
I think that would be good. They'll find a good spot for him, honestly. And that's something that I think the Dodgers do really well is they'll find a place and an opportunity for players to get run. And I appreciate the heck out of the Dodgers for doing that. They generally will get a spot for a player or trade a player somewhere where they're going to be playing. So I appreciate that about him, but I think he's trade piece big time.
Okay, so these next few, let's run through real quick. I'll answer this one. When's Yamamoto coming back? Heard he was throwing. He's throwing at about 135 feet. I think Dave Roberts today said he's going up to about 200 here pretty soon, but there's still no timeline for him. Roberts continues to say Yamamoto is pain-free, but they don't really have any set schedule or anything other than that for him. He still has to throw bullpen sessions, throw sim games, face hitters, go on a rehab assignment. So you're still probably looking August, September, probably even more likely. So it's going to be a bit if he does come back.
Yeah, that's a big, a lot. Yeah, a big time. A lot has to come from it. I'm hoping all green lights, man.
If Rojas is down, do you take a chance on Tim Anderson? No.
Absolutely not. No chance. Nope. Yeah.
I don't think there's anything real positive there to talk about with him. He's very well past his prime, doesn't play defense well, can't hit anymore. So
down goes Anderson.
Significant trade in baseball this week. Do you think it happens 9 days until the trade deadline? So that's 7 days here. Do they all get done in the last 2 days, or we're seeing a big trade?
For your sake, and me being in Vegas. Also, anybody has good spots, any restaurants to eat in Vegas, please let me know. Toss them in the chat. I gotta know. I think something happens. Yes, I think a team wants to get ahead of a trade here. I think something does happen. Is it with the Dodgers? No. I think they wait until the last couple days.
I'm gonna say no for both of them. I think every team, there's so many buyers and so few sellers that the sellers are just gonna keep holding out until one team gets desperate. And you're going to see a lot of movement in the final 2 days there.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anything else?
Yes, we're going to throw this one up here.
Oh, God. For what? What am I getting?
Like you said about eating the block of cheese that was asked earlier, do you like cheesecake or is it in the same category as cheese?
Nope. I would eat a whole pumpkin pie, though.
I mean, pumpkin pie's... Do you put ice cream on pumpkin pie or any kind of whipped cream or anything?
If it's there, whatever. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough. But cheesecake is the best.
Whatever floats your boat. Pecan pie's gas pack, BC. Yes, all of them. But I'd rather just have some good ice cream, man. Frozen yogurt's bomb too. Appreciate everybody. 1,700 in here, almost a 2-hour mark. I'm getting yelled at. I got to go turn on the spa for the gals. Appreciate everybody. My name is Scott Geirman. Any last thoughts, Mr. Blake Williams?
Think we're good.
Again, make sure you guys slam the like button, subscribe button, notification bell. We're live 6 days a week. We really do appreciate you guys here. The mood was awesome. This is a plus day for the Dodger fans. The Dodgers rolling into two. I feel like this is two back-to-back sweeps. All-Star break was a big dub. This last sweep against the Red Sox showed a ton. Hopefully, some of these role-playing guys get some consistency, and then we can start to figure it out from there. All right? So we appreciate you. Everybody keep tuning in. Big fun times coming up here. Trade deadline. We'll see you all guys soon. Go Dodgers.